Hello, everyone, and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin, and on this channel, I'm documenting my husband and I's journey to consumer debt freedom and financial independence. And as part of that, what we are doing is following the Budget Mom budgeting system. And so, what we are doing today is reconciling and closing out our May budget. So, let's go ahead and see where we spent our money. So you're probably noticing that things are looking a bit different with my closeout. Normally I do this on my spreadsheet, but my computer decided to have a bit of a dummy spit. Well, not the computer, but the program on the computer that I use for my spreadsheet. I'll let you guess which one that is. Yeah, it decided to have a dummy spit, and so I can't get into my spreadsheet, which I love my spreadsheet, killing me a little bit. So I've just transferred everything back to paper. So that is what we are going to be working on. So if you prefer seeing that paper-based amount, hey, here you go. So we're just going to walk through our key areas. So starting with our income. So income, our payee, equivalent to a W-2. This is what we take home in pay, and that was $11,990. We started off with an extra amount. This was money from our cash envelopes that carried over. That was $1,250, and then we had some additional money that came in as well for a total of $1,686. So there's no difference here. That was a difference of $436. Sinking funds, we had a planned sinking fund expense of $200. That one was used, so no difference there. So again, when we know we have something that's going to be paid out of our sinking fund, it's usually a specific bill. We consider that to be income, so it doesn't come out of the pay that we have coming in. We transfer that money from the sinking account into our everyday checking account and then make our payment from there. This number should actually be $400. It was $200 more than what we had budgeted for. Had slightly higher income than we had planned, and that was $13,876, and that was, again, a difference of $436. And where this extra 436 came from, this was things like from our coins for containers, and then surveys that I do, and if I do any consultancy type work. Started off, that's where we were. How did we go in spending? So for our mortgage, we ended up at $1,910. So that was a difference of $60 over. And what we did is we decided to just start rounding up our mortgage. So instead of paying $370 per week, we're paying $400. We did the calculation, paying that extra $30 per week is going to knock 3 years off of our mortgage, 14% of our total income. Our personal loan, that is our final debt. That was right at $1,370 as planned. So for 10%. Vehicle insurance for all of our vehicles, $250. So again, these are things, or actually no, that was $260, $10 over. That accounted for 2% of our budget. Home insurance was right on the nose at $235. And you're just gonna have to tolerate my sloppy writing. This is why I use an Excel sheet, because I don't have to worry about what my writing looks like. That also was 2%. Our private health insurance. So this is the month, so in May, we actually switched our private health. We went to another company and we increased our coverage. If you are new here, yes, we do have universal health insurance here in Australia, the public system available to everybody. You also do have the option to carry private health insurance if you earn over a certain amount, which we do. It's a requirement to have that, but it's also it's a good thing to have, because then if you do have medical needs, and as a person with a terminal illness, I have a lot of medical needs, so it allows me to go through the private system. So we have a top cover, and I will say, no matter where you live, I know they talk a lot about lifestyle creep. If there's one lifestyle creep that you should always allow, if it is possible, is that as you make more, get better health insurance. You never know when you're going to need it, and if you don't have it when you do need it, particularly if you're in the US, it can become really, really a struggle. So strongly encourage everybody to do that. So we had estimated that we were going to be paying $400 because we only paid for 2 weeks with our previous, and we paid the full premium the week before. That was only $160 that came out there. That was $240 difference. That came to 1%. My pool membership, which I was able to finally actually get back in the pool for the first time since the beginning of the year today. I got the all clear with my follow-up from my surgery. Everything went well. Swam a very, very slow 500 meters, but gosh, it felt so good. And it was a heated pool as well. So good to finally be able to exercise again. The endorphins and everything, I've missed it so, so much. $115 for our internet, and then that's also for our cable. Technically, there's a home phone line for it, but I haven't used a landline in I don't know how long. $50 for my mobile phone. So right on. Electricity, we had planned 100. Our electricity is billed monthly. Our water and our rates are billed quarterly, but we do have solar. So we had no electricity bill this month. We had a credit. That is always nice. So that was $100 in savings and comes to slightly less than 1%. And then we had some other expenses, and that's what had come out of the sinking fund. So that was the $200, 1%. And then this one, I didn't factor into the budget because it was just basically money came in, money wrote off. I didn't want to stuff up everything too much. And that was paying to file my US taxes. And that was right under $5,000. So if you're not familiar, if you're new here, if you've been here a while, you've heard me whinge about it before. If you're new here, the US has this lovely thing called double taxation. And so I get to file my taxes 2 times per year. I get to file them in Australia, but I also have to file in the US. And it's a requirement of any US citizen living abroad to file their taxes, whether they have earned any money in the US or not. So my husband, myself, and my son, we all have to file our taxes because I'm the highest earner. My taxes are a mess to where I actually need a qualified tax representative, and it just cost out the nose for it, but it keeps me from getting any fines. So thank you, US and Uncle Sam, for trying to get money off of my Australian income. I appreciate it, but you didn't get any this year. That gives us a total for our fixed and variable expenses of $4,440. So just under budget by 70. So we really, these different things kind of offset. And a total of 32% of our income went to our fixed and variable expenses. These are not all necessarily needs. There are some wants that are in there. I don't follow any real percentage guidelines. Moving to our variable expenses. Because I do, put all of my change away and I don't keep track of that, and I put my fives away and such, I have an overestimate on all of these. I'm not going to go through and count my change every single time. That's what the end of the year is for fun surprises like that, and how much is in my coin jars, especially considering that we have $1 and $2 coins. So for groceries and bulk groceries, we had 1,125 budgeted, and I came in just under at 1,100. And this is combined between groceries and bulk groceries. It just makes it easier to combine the two together. So $25 savings, and that made up 8%. Household, talked about that in one of my recent videos about what people are spending household on, and a lot of people, it was cleaning, laundry, soap, and similar to me, smell good type stuff. So spent 200. I came to about 1%. Fuel. This is how much I paid to fill my vehicle with fuel just the other day. We ended up spending $790 in fuel in May. That was $40 over budget, 6% of our total income. Transport, 225. So 150 that we did not spend, that carried over. So 2%, and I'll explain that here in a minute. For my dogs, 365 for the Hungry Hippos. So we had $10 left over there. That made up 3%. miscellaneous, I had $5 left over from miscellaneous. Go me, which means that for miscellaneous, I wrote the wrong thing. See, this is also why I like an Excel sheet because I don't mess up as much. $120, so had $5 left over, 1%. Eating out went slightly over here at 265. So over by $15. Eating out was 2%. And I know some people would say, why don't you include eating out with groceries and such? Because that's all food. I like to separate those two. For health and personal care, $175. So 125 left over. That also rolled over into June. 1%. And then for my husband and I, our spend had $495. We actually ended up spending $530. So over budget there by 35%, and that was 4%. And the spend, that's just all wants that we do there. So we had planned on spending $4,045. We ended up spending $3,770. So we did come in under. That gave us $275. And then all of those variable expenses made up 27% of our budget. Now this 275, you're going to see me put it in down here in this last section because this amount is going to get carried over or has been carried over into June. So this was what was left in these envelopes. I took the 5s out, but then carried the money over. And the last area, the funner one, is extra debt and extra savings. So we had $2,100 budgeted to pay to extra debt. We ended up spending $2,781. That was a difference of $681 for 20%. Sinking funds, we had planned on doing $2,700, but we made some shifts around. Ended up only putting $2,000 away for that. So that was $700 or 14%. For saving challenges, we had planned on $125. We spent $60. So that gave us a $65 savings, and that also was just under 1%. So this $275 carrying over to our June envelopes, and then our $1,000 project, $581, and this was mostly from that extra income that was brought in. So that's where that extra income gets accounted for. $1,000 project was 2%. Our June envelopes was 2%. $1,000 project was 4%. And when you look at it, you kind of go, oh, you're going to be all over the place. So our total to savings and extra debt was $5,697. That was actually $772 more than we had planned, and 41% of our total income. So when you first look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, you were over budget by $700 plus. No, we actually were not. Our income was $13,876, and our spending, crazy, did not plan this, couldn't plan it if I tried. Our actual spending, our total outgoing was $13,867. So we just transposed the last two numbers. Pretty nifty. And our difference was $9. So we were actually over budget by $9 this month. Pretty chuffed over that. So hey, how about a big thumbs up for staying under budget, particularly with our fuel prices. And that wraps up my reconciliation and closeout for the month. And the reason that I do the reconciliation is that it really does, even though I talk about how I'm not great at tracking my spending, because I don't look at every single detail. I don't look at the pennies. I look at my cash envelopes. I go, I started with this much. I ended up with this much. That's how much I spent. Sometimes it's, keeping each receipt. If it's something that I'm putting on, like the debit card or the credit card, because we pay off the credit card each week, then I will write those in, but I don't get overly pedantic about looking at those. But this does still give me a general idea, particularly when looking at our savings and our debt. And part of why I like looking at this is we have 3 months to go. Woohoo! woohoo. Or as Marlene and Stephanie would do, they'd be like budget fingers, where I come in as somebody who, has watched Bring It On way too many times. I'm like, that's not budget dance fingers. These are budget dance fingers. But I digress. As always, looking at what we are paying towards debt in 3 months, that's all going to be money going towards savings and investing. And we're really happy with that. Yes, our retirement accounts are doing well, but doing this additional investing, it's going to give us that bridging account, so that if I want to go into semi-retirement or working part-time or anything like that, that's going to give us the option. I know my husband, if he has the option to retire early and be on his boat out fishing every day with dogs, he's taking advantage of that. And that's part of why we're doing this as well. I consider it to be a very important part of the system. It is the part that I am the absolute worst at doing. I have to force myself to do it. I'm like, ugh, do I really have to? It's like, no, Erin, you don't have to. Nobody's making you. I'm like, woohoo. Oh, wait a minute. That means I have to show my own self discipline. That sounds like adulting to me. But hey, you know what? Adulting is fun, but I am going to stop rambling now. If you survived this long listening to my rambles, do please give this video a thumbs up. It really does help me out and just gives me warm fuzzies inside. If you're not a subscriber, do please hit that subscribe button, especially if you're coming back and watching multiple times. We love having additional people twibbling along on this journey with us. Of course, I'm going to end it the same way that I always do, though. Choose kindness, show gratitude, always keep a positive mindset. I will see you in the next video.